Let's talk about development. Something that I know that I love to do, and I know that you love to do as well. So, what is your take on developers either pulling back or pushing forward through the pandemic? The example that I know that we both used was Vantage South End, which has just announced. I was actually there today, and there's fresh steel that is in the air. What is your take on, and what are you hearing about developers that are pushing forward through the pandemic, and then developers that are kind of pulling back and sitting on the sidelines?
Yeah, I think staying on the sidelines personally, and granted I don't have the millions of dollars invested in it, but I think that's the wrong call. And as an office worker, I cannot wait to get back into the office. I am sick of working from home. I hate waking up where I work. I hate spending all day where I work and then winding down where I work. I think there's something to be said about an office setting where you can separate church and state, so to speak. You can separate office from home. I know not everyone feels that way. My wife loves working from home, but I personally hate it, and I know a lot of my colleagues are sick of working from home and can't wait to get back in the office. So I think you'll see a change in who our office users are. I think our technology companies, you've seen a ton, like Twitter is just saying work from home forever, and Oracle. And I think you'll see that in that. But I think more corporate users, which Charlotte has a lot of, are Bank of America's, Duke's, Wells Fargo, even LendingTree, Advantage. I think those kind of users aren't going anywhere and are frankly seeing the need for their office space, not only in their employee satisfaction, but I think productivity is, I don't know if there's any metrics that you can truly measure this, but I would say most people are probably less productive at home than they are in the office in general.
I mean, speaking for myself, I feel like I'm much less productive at home. There's just other shit to do, right? The dog's barking. There's a project that I was going to do this weekend that I didn't get to. When you're at the office, you feel like it's time to work. So, I mean, I agree with you that while I think that things are going to change, like I could absolutely see the next year or two it being much more flexible, right? And I could absolutely see people going from 2 days a week to 3 days a week, then to 4 days a week, maybe back to 5 days a week, and that changing. But I think if you're trying to build culture in a large company, there's no substitution for having your people buying into the place, buying into the meeting, buying into the team. And I think that's really hard to do on a Zoom call where nobody's wearing pants, right? Yeah. Like it's just not the same thing. And I am starting to hear from friends that are connected on a C-suite level that they are starting to see productivity drop. They are starting to see kind of cracks in the culture. And I don't think that's sustainable. Now, I don't think it's going to come back day one. Everything that I'm hearing is vaccine plus 6 months to where anybody is going to start pressuring anybody to come back to work. So we've got some time, but I just can't see this being sustainable. What I think is actually a more interesting question is, what does office space look like on the tail end of this? Because here's a way to think of it, right? Like, do you bring less people back into the office? Maybe. But do they need to have more space? Because 6 months ago, we were cramming everybody into a small open space and saying, oh, we don't need as much space because we don't have any private offices. Now I think people are going to spread back out, and I'm very curious to see what's going to happen in people's actual space requirements and needs.
I think come 2022, I don't think we'll see any difference. I think 2022 will look just like 2019.
One other thing that'll be interesting are going to be what I call kind of the net winners of this entire thing. I'm probably short on Manhattan, Boston, Chicago, San Fran, LA in the short term, just because it has shown to be a very hard place to live when things get shut down. If you go to the mid-level cities, the Charlotte, the Raleigh, the Austins of the world, the Nashvilles of the world.
Major winners.
Huge winners in this. And I think that could hold for a little while. We already have the cost of living edge in a lot of these places. And I think that it's going to be tremendous for these kind of second tier cities to continue to gain some spotlight. Well, Jason, I think we got a lot done in a short amount of time. As always, I love chewing the fat with you and arguing a little bit. So I appreciate you taking time to do it.
You bet.